It reminds me of a couple of years ago, the PBO, of course, did a report, and one of the things that he mentioned was that to actually start addressing these things in a meaningful way, the disability backlog specifically, there would need to be a significant amount of hiring people based on how long it was taking to get it done, that this is the only way to move forward. And one of the things that came up, of course, was how many people were being hired temporarily. And we've heard testimony that because people are being hired temporarily, some of them are finding permanent jobs in other departments within the government, therefore not staying. And we know that it takes a while to train people up to be able to have that full capacity. And you mentioned in the report as well that there's no long-term plan on hiring, which we know is a concern for everybody in this country and across the world. We're really struggling to find people. So I'm just wondering, you've mentioned a couple of times that need for permanency and stable funding to provide support to have that permanent workforce. I'm just wondering if those two things, if the concern is that the temporary people don't have the knowledge that they're going to be able to stay so that they're moving, and it just continues to have people be retrained. And then the other part of that, is there any data being collected by the department to track if people are being hired on temporarily and then leaving, and just capturing that?
So I think we mentioned in a paragraph in the report, Martin mentioned it earlier, where they had estimated that when 43 individuals had left over a period of time in the audit, that it was the impact was about 5,000 applications not being able to be treated. So there's a real clear impact between those temporary employees leaving. I do think that the department needs to do a good assessment on what is the permanent staff that they need. There is likely a need for some temporary individuals to deal with peaks and backlog, but there is a clear need to have a more permanent, stable workforce, because the demands we saw over a 5-year period increased almost 75%. So that's a real reality, that there's just more demand. And so the staffing needs to line up with that.
Well, and it makes sense if it's been 7 years since they've met their standards, that perhaps that would be essential in moving forward.
Thank you so much, Ms. Blaney.